And Kishan, over to you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I have a comment and one question as well. Firstly, many thanks, for sharing the findings and the technological advancement in electrothermal mechanical as well as the chemical, advancement on the long-term energy storage space. In UK specifically, if you would have observed last week, the technology secretary announced that data centers are now part of the critical national infrastructure. So my question is like in your survey specifically, Peter, did you see any need for AI generating the demand for long-term, energy storage? If you also could throw some light on, how these long-term energy storage system can effectively be integrated into the existing power grids as well. In all these, technologies, have you seen the compressed air energy storage being used for the large scale, energy storage system? Because at the end of the day, we would want that to happen for us to achieve the 1.5 and to what are those economic factors influencing the adoption of this long-term energy storage solution? And I'm sure you will be having that, how you can make that more cost effectively, but particularly in developing economics, developing economies.
The questions raised there. So data centers, certainly a lot of our members, or a number of our members, are very active managers of data centers, Microsoft, Google, to name but two. So long duration storage is front and center of their thinking, at least in terms of their energy management, in part driven by regulatory requirements around the world, for sure, but also driven by their understanding of their business needs. And it varies depending on the particular jurisdiction. Quite often they have multiple business cases for storage, which means they might end up with different technologies on different sites. But it's just to answer the question, it's absolutely part of their thinking. And I think we all recognise that AI is going to drive energy demand even more dramatically, and that a lot of that is going to sit with data centers. If I think I got a part of the second question about the size of some of the projects being deployed at the moment, was that correct?
I mean, the second question was how effectively are we integrating this long-term energy storage with into the existing power grids?
Sure. So at the moment, we would say that there is quite a large fleet, not nearly as much as we need, but well over 100 gigawatts of pump storage hydropower successfully integrated into grids around the world, built in several decades back, with the exception of China. China has been building a lot more recently, but in other markets they were tending to be built in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, quite often to complement nuclear power, because of the kind of you don't turn a nuclear power plant off at night, essentially, and so you want to capture that electricity. So it is already successfully integrated into grids, we think, but there is a step change that's needed, especially in more liberalized electricity markets, because the same types of incentives aren't in place now that were there in the past. And for developing markets, again, there's such a lot of support that's needed to design and regulate those electricity markets to incentivize low carbon infrastructure of all types. We are starting to see it happen, and again, pump storage hydropower is at the forefront there in terms of scale, but there are many other technologies coming through as well.
Comments. I'm not sure how we're going to handle elaborating on the others, but just as an addition to the good questions, I think I would like to second what Alex already mentioned in terms of one. Most applications we're seeing need really kind of customized applications of storage, available storage technologies, depending on the type of renewable resources or clean resources to generate power or win heat. The availability, of course, and knowledge and infrastructure to implement storage technologies, and there's a whole variety that's already working, as my colleague also just said. And we basically see, I also wanted to flag this because you were talking about developing emerging economies that are fastly growing. Sometimes it's a big help, and we also see this in other sectors like construction. If there's not a big system in place that's been running on a demand following energy type of system for decades and is highly bureaucratic and very slow. But sometimes it's easier to implement these systems, these new elements and storage elements into the system if the whole infrastructure, the whole grid is just growing and exploring.